Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Hope you all are doing good and well as usual. It has been a little while since I've uploaded, and definitely a reason for that. I was getting over a horrible cold that turned into an ear infection which caused me to lose hearing in both my ears. Very scary. I've never had that happen before. It was just this incessant ringing in my ears which caused me to have super bad headaches and just sleep for the most of the 2 weeks I wasn't uploading, to be honest. So I still currently can't hear in one of my ears. The infection has gone away, but it's taken a while. But it's really strange talking and feeling like you are underwater. Yeah, it's kind of gone away. Hope it goes away soon because I'm flying next week. So I'm hoping that won't be too much of a disruption, but we're back with another video anyhow, and thank you guys for sticking around. And if you're new here, my name is Nikki, and today in this video, we are going to be talking all about thermal nail polishes. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for a little while since I have tried the majority of the thermals in my collection, and I also want to make this video because thermals aren't always a finish that I love, but I really do like this finish. So I've kind of found ways to combat me feeling this way. And if you guys are feeling the same type of ways I used to feel about thermals, which I'm going to get into, this video is here to change your perspective and change your mind. I do think thermals are one of the most enticing indies that you can see on the market, along with magnetics and the glorious flakies and the shifties. But I do think thermals aren't the ones that immediately caught my eye. It was more of the jelly sandwiches in a bottle. But these ones were definitely the second finish to catch my eye. I have a lot in my collection that I've grown to really love. So let's just get into this topic video. So speaking for myself, the number one reason why I was deterred from purchasing more thermals after a negative experience with certain colors is finding out that transition effect does die. That shocked the heck out of me. I was not expecting that at all, but was even more a bit disappointing is that a lot of brands don't advertise that thermals don't last, which I think is something that would be helpful to bring to the consumer's attention because, then we can buy more intentionally with our purchases. So the first thing I want to talk about is purchasing thermal nail polishes by brand. That might seem a bit pretentious, but at the end of the day, indie polishes are expensive. And if you're paying for a certain finish, you definitely want it to last. And 3 brands have exceeded that for me, which are Fancy Gloss, Cadillacquer, and KB Shimmer. Now, I'm in the Facebook group for Fancy Gloss, and there are people in there that post their thermals after having them for about 5 or 6 years, which says a lot because thermals usually have a lifespan of about 2 years and they still transition beautifully. I've seen some of them kind of get stuck in a state, but it's usually kind of a happy medium through both the colors. Now, that's not to say that's going to happen with majority of Fancy Gloss thermals, but the majority I've seen do that, or the pigment just doesn't transition strong enough. But I would rather have that than have it just completely be dead. I find they also have very, very interesting color contrast, especially with their flakies. I will definitely look out for Fancy Gloss's flaky thermals because they're absolutely beautiful. Next, now if you like funky colors, unique funky color transitions, Cadillacquer brings out one of the most interesting color combinations I've ever seen in indie polishes, and that says a lot because a lot of unique things come out when it comes into the indie world. But Cadillacquer, I think, just shines in a different light, especially when it comes to thermals. They do have some of my favorites so far that I have tried, and they keep coming out with even more. I did show one that was in my March monthly manicures. It was called Alloy, and it kind of reminds you of, it kind of has like Frankenstein vibes. It's a really perfect Halloween polish, to be honest, and just kind of that spooky festive vibe as well. Now for KB Shimmer is the first indie brand I ever purchased from. So in them, I just trust, I do. And I haven't loved every single KB Shimmer polish I've tried, but I have loved the majority, and their thermals really do speak to my heart. They don't come out with thermals often, but when they do, there are definitely some that catch my eye, and they have not died. None of the thermals from any of these brands I've talked about have died in my collection, and some of them have been in my collection for over 2 years. So I am very happy about that as well. Another brand I want to talk about as an honorable mention for lasting is Sassy Sauce Lacquer. Now, this brand comes out with amazing thermals. They came out with an awesome one for Polish Pickups Rainy Days theme, and it was a transition between a yellow and a purple. I did not get that one. I'm not having FOMO, but I am having a bit of regrets because I do like it. But I remind myself that I do have a lot of thermals in my collection that I haven't used yet, so that kind of suppresses the feeling a little bit. One of the thermals that I've had, they've been in my collection for a year and a half now, almost 2 years, and it's still transitioning quite well. The next favor you can do for yourself is picking thermals that you like in both transitional states. I can't tell you how many times I have not bought a thermal because I didn't like it in both states, which has saved me cash. But I have bought thermals that I didn't like in both states just because I like the transitioning effect. Luckily, they haven't died, but going forward, I do try to purchase ones that I do like in both color states. That way, you won't be disappointed if it dies. And generally, the rule of thumb is if you store them in colder temperatures, they'll die in its cold state, and if you store them in the warmer temperatures, it'll die in its warm state. But that could be subjective, but generally that just is the rule of thumb. The next thing I tell myself is that I really have to have patience with thermals. Sometimes I've worn them and I've just written them off because the transition effect wasn't happening quick enough, so I thought it died, or I didn't realize that thermal was actually a tri-thermal, which means it's in 3 colors. And I don't know if you guys know this, but thermals can actually come in quads. I have never seen that, but that is something I would love to see in the indie world because that is something I would definitely purchase. It would be a bit hard to see it on your shorter nails, which we're going to get into, but I would still purchase it because that's pretty cool to me. For example of this, I did wear Cadillacquer's Flora, which I thought was a dark purple to pink thermal, but there actually is a bit of a violet transition. And I didn't see that until I would go to the bathroom, wash my hands, and see the little driplets of water, and it would be like this really dark purple color, like darker than the violet one. And I was like, oh, there's another color in there. So I really have to give them time to kind of work, I don't know if it's a good or bad sign if a thermal takes a long time to transition or not, but I don't know. The ones that took a while to kind of show up on my nails have lasted longer in my collection. So I just thought that was something to mention. Next thing we're going to talk about is nail length. So I think it's pretty well known that that transition effect will appear more if your nails are longer. There's more of the nail bed for the color transition to take place. Not saying that it won't show up on your shorter nails, but it just won't be as apparent, I guess, which isn't a bad thing. Thermals still look great on short nails, but I do find I do enjoy them more when I can see the transition effect in its full gloriousness on my nail bed. So that was another reason why I was kind of skeptical about buying thermals, because my nails aren't always long. They're short for the majority of the time because where I live is so dry and they break like crazy. Or, I don't cut them quick enough to be in a good shape, so they just kind of break at the base on their own, which is the worst. It happens, but I do find I do enjoy thermals more when my nails are longer. Next, we're going to talk about storage. So I went back and forth between buying a white Helmer or a black Helmer, and I thought about it, and dark colors absorb more heat, and I didn't want my thermals to overheat and get stuck in one state, so I did gravitate towards a white Helmer. And even though it gets dirty more, that's okay. My thermals are safe, and that's what's important. But I do keep all my thermals in one drawer, so in case it does get too hot in the room that I'm storing them in, I can just take that drawer and switch them to another room, which is nice because I usually like to keep my thermals in a cooler atmosphere, but one that's not too cool, one that's just right. So I find when I take them down in the basement or into another room where there's no direct sunlight, because there is a lot of direct sunlight in the room that I'm in, I'm hoping that it's helping sustain the color pigment in the thermal. So definitely you gotta store them pretty well, away from direct sunlight, kind of in like happy medium temperatures, kind of like lukewarm temperatures, just that happy medium, so they stay happy medium. Next, thermals, as I've mentioned, do have a lifespan, so it's important to use them as often as possible so you can get your money's worth for the effect that you paid for. I do find that having a lot of thermals in my collection is feasible because my collection currently is it's under 1,000, and I would like to keep it that way. Who knows if it will, but That's my goal. Every time I try, I buy new polishes, I will destash or just give away some that I don't use anymore. And, you know, it's kind of worked out. I do think if you do have a larger collection, it's not really worth it to have thermals in your collection because you won't get the time to try them, and they probably will die before you get around to trying them. And it's no one's fault, you know, we amass so much nail polish when it's our hobby, you know. It's kind of hard it's easy to forget about some finishes in your collection, especially when you're just buying so much, or if you are buying so much, easy to forget about the ones that you forgot to show love to. But for me, I think it's worth it to have thermals in your collection if it's smaller and you can get to them, you know, as often as you want. But if you have a larger collection, mostly one that's like more than 1,000 polishes, has mine is almost. It's not though. It's 908 currently. But if I went over that, I would probably stop buying so many thermals because it just wouldn't be worth it. Luckily, I'm blessed that only a few of them have died and the majority of them are still going strong. But for me, it's definitely worth it. And you know, when you're paying for a thermal nail polish, like you're paying for 2 polishes in one. And, you know, that might be a bit far-fetched, but I'll say anything just about this nail polish, okay? Also, it's important to buy thermals when they are freshly made. That's kind of how you know they're gonna last the longest in your collection. If you're buying thermals that, you know, a maker's had on their site for a while, it might not last as long as you want it to because, you know, you don't know how long it's been sitting there. I usually buy thermals when, you know, they're going to be released right away through polish pickup or released through a new collection that an indie maker has just come out with. Usually I don't buy them if they've been there for a while or something like that you know of, because when you're buying through polish pickup, you know, they're just going to be freshly made, and you know, the pigment is going to be nice and easy to work with. You're going to see that transition right away. So yeah, that's just another tidbit I'd like to mention. And now to get into some of my favorite thermals that are currently in my collection. The first one we're going to look at is MJ Lacquer's How Sweet It Is. And this is one thermal that I think is so interesting because when it's in its warmer state, it's kind of like this bile color, but it's really beautiful. This is definitely one of my ugly pretty picks currently. I am going to do an updated video on my ugly pretty picks, but this one I love, and I think it's really good to try that peekaboo nail art. Negative space and peekaboo nail art I think is my favorite types of nail art looks right now, and I think this one for stamping would be perfect with that peekaboo nail art look because when it's in its warm state, it is a see-through color and it's very nice. The next brand we're going to talk about is of course Cadillacquer, because I was gushing about them for a little bit in this video. This is called Haru, and this did come out their spring 2021 collection. This was one of my favorite polishes that came out this year. This is the perfect fall transition color. In its cold state, it's this dark chocolate brown with those electric orange and pink flakies. And then when it's in its warm state, it turns into this nice rustic burnt orange. And yep, it's perfect. I actually did wear this in the summertime because I really wanted to get this on my nails. They were long at the time, and this one did not disappoint. I love it so much. Next, we're going to be talking about a Canadian indie brand. This is Painted Pretty Polish. This is called Zebra Stripes, and honestly one of the most unique thermals in my collection, and it is so simplistic, and that's why I think I like it so much. It's one of those palette cleansers that is still funky. I love this in March. It was just a perfect break from all the greens I was wearing. Not that I needed a break, but I did want something, you know, a bit more neutral. This polish I've had in my collection for almost 3 years, and it is still going strong. So love this one, and definitely one of my favorite grays and one of my favorite polishes in my collection right now. Next, we're taking at the one and only Sassy sauce that I have. This is called Itty Bitty Tiddledy Committee, which you did see in my March monthly manicures. I bought this one because I immediately liked it in both states, and I'm hoping it doesn't die. This does have a pretty good fill line. You can't see it because I just shook up the bottle, but I've worn this about 3 times now, and my favorite was this past March because I could actually see the transitioning effect so well. And my favorite part is this kind of reminds me of I Like It When the Red Water Comes Out by Sweet and Sour Lacquer, but it's a thermal, and I love it. It's so good. So that was the next one. Next, we have KB Shimmers Branching Out. I think this is kind of like an all-year thermal. It's really, really nice for the spring. It's lovely for the fall and great for the winter. This is just so So good. I think I would maybe even get a backup with this one. If this one died, I'd probably buy it again because I really do like it, but I'm hoping that it doesn't. This is just a beautiful one and definitely one of my top thermals right now. The next two are both from Lynn B Designs. The first one is called A Little Nonsense, and this one doesn't have the strongest transitioning effect, but it has this cloud nine beautifulness that I just fell in love with. People kept asking me what color were my nails, and I'm like, you decide for yourself because it's two. Lynn B Designs does come out with pretty cool thermals. She had a whole line called Thankful Thermals that came out for Thanksgiving, and I wanted every single one in that one, but I didn't purchase it. I might still go back and purchase them if she has them on her website, but I really love this one and it is still currently available. Next one is one of the most interesting ones. This is called Shut the Front Door. I love the name as well. This reminds me of Corpse Bride, even though I've never seen that movie, but this is just giving me this wintry, like, you know, like festive vibes. I love this one. I think I'd even wear it for Halloween too. I just think it's so unique. I don't have a lot of Crelly thermals in my collection. So with this one, I actually bought it in lieu of destashing Cert Colors Acid Wash because I did not like, I like that polish, but it didn't last long on my nails. And I just found it was kind of meh. But this one is just, it delivered what I wanted Acid Wash to deliver. And even more because it's a thermal. So definitely one of my favorites. So that was Shut the Front Door. The last one I'm going to talk about is Fancy Gloss's Strawberry Basil. I did pick this up in March of this year. You guys are going to see it in my haul. Oh, this is what I keep saying all these are my favorites, and they are, but this new one is just, it's speaking to me. It's speaking to my heart. It's making it go pitter patter. It's so, so nice. This dark gloomy base with those electric green flakies, and then it transitions to this pink watermelon color. This is just one of the most unique thermals I have. It's so fun and it's just beautiful to look at. And when it's in transitioning between both states, oh, no words. If you guys haven't tried Fancy Gloss thermals, I highly recommend Strawberry Basil because it is very unique and very, very beautiful. I can't decide which color I like more because I like both. You know, the pink is very dainty and feminine, and then the dark is just very vampy and don't mess with me, you know? So I do love this one. It's best of both worlds for me, okay? So that is Fancy Gloss's Strawberry Basil. All right, guys, that was it for this video. Please let me know some of your favorite thermals in the comments below and if they're available. If they're from Cirque, I'm not interested, I'll just be honest. But from the rest, let a girl know. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if it was helpful, let me know in the comments as well. I'll see you guys on my next one. Take care.